Today, Teresa and I have the honor of speaking with Henrico, Virginia Board Supervisor and the current Chair, Tyrone Nelson. Board Supervisor Nelson was first elected Supervisor for the Verina Magisterial District in 2011 and has been reelected 3 times and is doing a phenomenal job. He served as board chairman in 2016 and 2019 and is serving in the role again in 2024. He is serving his 4th term as Verina Supervisor. He is also the pastor of 6 Mount Zion Baptist Church. We are so thrilled to have him join us here on Earrings Off.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa.
Well, hello. We are delighted actually to have with us Henrico County Supervisor and Board Chair Tyrone Nelson. Welcome, Supervisor Nelson, to Earrings Off.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited about it.
I tell you, as always, we are excited to just get a chance to speak with you. So can you share a brief overview of your background and your journey to becoming the chairperson for the Henrico Board of Supervisors?
Well, I'm a Richmonder, a Richmond region person. And my family has its roots in Eastern Henrico. And so that's where, I spent a couple of formative years. My mom met my dad, and we lived in Richmond, near Bird Park, district in the city. I went to Richmond Public Schools, graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School, went to Old Dominion for a year and found out that I wasn't really excited about college. So I came back home, transferred to BCU, started working full-time in retail. I took a little time away from school, not much. And I went to J. Sargent. I needed a reset. So I went to J. Sargent and did my 2 years there for my associate's degree while still working full-time. At that time, I was working for CVS Pharmacy. So I was like a store manager. During that time, I kind of felt called to the ministry. I was in my early 20s and
wow.
I was licensed and ordained at my home church in Eastern Henrico. I started seminary. And so once I finished J. Sargent Reynolds, I transferred back to VCU and I got my bachelor's degree from there and then transferred to, not transferred, then I entered the Master Divinity program at Virginia Union, theology, and got an MDiv from there. At that point, I kind of transitioned out of retail work, and there was a job opening at the Baptist General Convention, which is a large denominational organization. I was hired as the youth and evangelism director. And it was a full-time job. And so I was able to work there while going to seminary full-time. I did that for 3 years, and a job opening came. Well, I applied for a couple of churches, but a position became available at 6 Mount Zion Baptist Church in Jackson Ward, where I am now. And I was called here in 2005. I was 31.
Wow.
No pastoral experience, but they gave me a shot. So I just celebrated 19 years of being a pastor here.
Wow. Congratulations.
About 3 weeks ago, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm into my 20th year.
Wow.
So I started here in 2005. 2007, I ran for school board where I live, which is Verina, Eastern Henrico. My son entered kindergarten in 2005. I went to his orientation and realized really there was no black teachers there. And So I started asking questions. It was, black people working in the kitchen, black people cleaning the building,
Mm-hmm.
one resource teacher that was black, but over half of the kids in the school were black. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I started asking questions. I wasn't getting the answers I wanted. And so somebody, encouraged me to, if you want to change what you see, then get engaged. And
Mm-hmm.
so I heard that the school board rep at the time was retiring. And at that point, Donald McKeechin was, like a mentor, big brother, encouraged
Mm-hmm.
me to run. I did. I lost in
Wow.
2007. So that was my first foray into politics. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't like losing. So that was tough. I decided I was done with politics. So I just jumped into my work in church. We started really becoming focused on being social justice minded. And then 2011 rolled around, and I let the late congressman, encourage me to run again. But this time it was for the Board of Supervisors, which is the local governing body
Mm-hmm.
in Henrico County. And the difference between the Board of Supervisors and the school board was it was partisan. So the Democratic apparatus could support me, and the congressman allow his team to run my campaign.
Mm.
I ended up winning. So the person I
Wow.
ran against had been in the seat for 20 years, and
Wow.
he won by 20 points, and I've been serving ever since. So I'm into my fourth term, 13th year.
I tell you, and as a Henrico resident, I follow you. You're doing a fantastic job. So thank you for your service.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
What a story. Can you discuss a recent decision or project that the board has undertaken and its impact on the community?
I think probably the most recent one is the decision to commit $60 million to an affordable housing trust fund.
Mm.
And we had a very contentious case in my district um, revolving rezoning an area right outside our technology park for
Mm.
a data center complex.
Mm-hmm.
Data centers are prevalent throughout the Commonwealth, and
Yeah.
there's some strong opposition to it. But data centers bring a lot of they bring a lot of
Mm.
resources
Yeah.
to your community.
Yeah.
So as we wrestle with the case, and I started to see how much money would come in just from this one particular project, it I decided that if we voted on it in support, that we needed to do something transformative with the money. So initially we toyed with the idea of putting it into schools, but I mean it wasn't gonna have the same impact. We already invest 57% of our budget,
That's it. Mm-hmm.
into schools. So this year is like $700 million. So just putting 50 or $60 million on top of that, what area could we find? So we chose housing. I mean, housing is affordable housing. I'm let me say it like this, making housing affordable for your
Mm-hmm.
citizens is a big challenge nationwide. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
with the interest rates being what they are, with the
Yeah.
prices of houses, our research showed us that middle class, folk working middle class jobs that are important, teachers and police and
Mm-hmm.
fire persons and persons working in hospitals, nurses, etc. And I think if I can remember, it almost took like 100, and you need to be making your household need to be bringing in like $118,000
Mm-hmm.
to secure a mortgage, and
Mm.
which is crazy. So the
Right.
bankers
Yeah.
were telling us that they couldn't build new homes in our county for less than $350,000. I know when I built a house 18 years ago, and $350,000, I couldn't afford that, and
Right. Right. Yeah.
a two-income household. So,
Right.
so we just decided to take that money as a direct revenue source. That money was not going to go to anything, any dollar that comes in as revenue would go straight into this fund. And so we committed over the course of 5 years, $60 million, working with Partnership for Housing Affordability, the Maggie Walker Land Trust, and working with the development community, working with realtors. And so there's a lot of people on board to try to make it happen. So I just give you an example. If a community is going up, let's say it's 100 houses in a community that, our hope is 5-10% of the homes would be a part of this process. So 5 to 10% would be affordable. So the home would be built. Let's say the selling price on the home is $350. Land trust would take money we give and buy down the cost of the house. And so it may be 100, maybe 120 toward the house to get it down to a place where it's affordable for your everyday working people. The money was available starting July 1. We already got a couple pieces, that are a part of the program. So, I mean, that's the number one thing that comes to my mind.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, you're to be commended for that, because we all know that is an issue that's impacting Americans nationwide, affordable housing. So you are to be commended for that. Supervisor Nelson, how does the board incorporate community feedback into the decision-making process? Because as a former clerk and chief of staff, I do know you don't have the input a lot of times from the public meetings that we used to have frequently. So how do you incorporate community feedback?
Sometimes it's a challenge, but we offer the opportunity to in Henrico County Manager form of government, our chief, the person who does the day-to-day is not elected. So elected officials who are responsible for what happens within the context of government are the governing body, which is the Board of Supervisors. So technically, each one of us kind of like is a mayor in our district, and all of us do things different. So, we have two public meetings a month generally. There are 2 months where we only have one. So that's an opportunity for persons to come speak. Anytime there's a rezoning or there's a case that involves a neighborhood changing the context of what it looks like, there's an opportunity to get involved and share. All of us. One thing I can say about our board now is our board has gotten younger and more, more technologically savvy, more customer service driven. When I was elected back in, when I started January 1, 2012, I was 38 years old. The next closest person to me in age was early 60s, maybe mid 60s. And so we were kind of behind the curve. Now, this is the funny thing. Now I'm the elder statesman. I'm the oldest person on the board, been there the longest. But our board members, we're all like within 5 years of age. So all of us are on social media. All of us are very engaged with reaching out to our members. Just basic stuff like texting people back, calling people back. So we try to give full access. We have community meetings, and it varies. I do 3 or 4 a year. One of my colleagues Mr. Frank Thornton used to have them every month. So all of us, we do between 3 to 5 district meetings a year to try to encourage, involvement. Now, we represent between 65 to 70,000 people per person.
That's a lot.
We would love to have way more engagement, so having meetings where it's only 50 people or 100 people is still a very minuscule amount of folk So we need to do better. And,
Mhm.
that's one thing we're challenging our folk to do. I literally just had a meeting with our public relation and media team, well, our director yesterday. So it is an intentional focus of our government to find ways to engage the public more through
Mhm.
social media, through YouTube, etc.
Nice.
Yeah.
So certainly, the program you just mentioned about affordable housing is an initiative to be proud of. Are there some other initiatives or policies that you are particularly proud of that have occurred during your tenure?
Uh, I mean, that's a lot. We have, I mean, some of it is basic stuff that government needs to do, which is, fully funding your schools every year. We take pride in, our buildings, our
Mhm.
campuses,
Yeah.
try to make sure that we're paying our teachers. We want to be leaders and,
Mhm.
in teacher pay and making sure that we give our school system whatever they need. And so
Mhm.
generally, you know, if you go to our schools, we want all of our schools to be top notch. Now, is every one of our schools
Mhm.
um, brand new or going through a renovation? No. I feel pride when I walk around and look at what we've invested. Same thing
Yeah.
with public safety, making sure our communities are safe. So there are a lot of things. I mean, our parks, we just opened up a park out in my district that
Yeah.
blown us away.
Yes, I'm hearing so many things about it.
The
Yeah.
park is only 3 weeks old, and we've had 100,000 visitors in the park in 3 weeks. So,
Wow. Yeah.
it's just making sure our park system is tight. There are things that we've done when I first got on the board that were not priorities. Last year was one of the first times where this last budget was one of the first times that we actually committed money to homelessness efforts in a regional, with a regional perspective. And so, we committed almost $1 million to helping the city run the program it runs to try to get people off of the street and when it's cold, when it's warm, etc. So that's one thing. The diversity of our team, our staff, we're younger, we're more diverse. If you look at the people
Mhm.
who are directors and leading our organization, um, you got all kinds of people.
Mhm.
So, environmental, I focus on making Henrico a more environmentally conscious community. We've invested a lot of money um, in those type of efforts, not just as a county, but even department wise. So
Okay.
hopefully that answered. There's some things that I'm proud of.
Well, you're
Pretty
doing
good.
a
Thank
lot
you.
of work. We're going to shift gears just a little bit because there's a lot of excitement now with the changes in the coming presidential election. So I wanted to ask you, how do you think the outcome of the presidential election will impact the local community?
Well, I mean, it definitely impacts us.
Mhm.
From federal focus with money that flows down, programs that are set up in the federal government um, that had the potential to help us out as a Commonwealth, and then the Commonwealth and sending money down locally.
Mhm.
Um, so the federal government is important.
Mhm.
It's all levels of the government are important. And so
Mhm.
one of the things about federal government is the amount of money that goes into advertising for elections gets all of the attention. And so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
an insane amount of money
Yeah.
that goes into presidential, congressional races, etc. And
Yeah.
we get a few dollars. And so local races happening, people don't even know that they're
Yeah.
happening because there's no money to get on TV,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
But yes, this presidential election is important. And, from judges,
Right.
to like I said, programs, committees, etc. It's a important time. I'm a
Yeah.
proud Democrat, so I can't, anything I say probably has a bias. Um,
Yeah.
it's an exciting time. I think with Kamala Harris and Walz as a team, and
Yeah.
Trump and Vance been out there for a
Yeah.
couple of months. I think the next couple of months are going to be very intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
Are there any key issues that you be- believe should be made priority by the next president?
Stuff that you already hear about. I part of the reason why I support the people I support is because, to me personally, I feel like the Democratic Party has more of a heart sometimes
Hmm.
for people.
Yeah.
Um,
I
you
agree. We agree. Yeah.
I'm a Baptist preacher, and I know in some areas Christianity can be kind of rigid. That's not the theology I grew up with. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
to me, God created all of us. God loves all of us. So,
Hmm.
regardless of what skin tone you have, your gender, who
Hmm.
you choose to love, all of that, we are all God's creation. And
Hmm.
so, I feel like I would want somebody who's president who is not looking to chastise or demonize people because of how they were born, what they look like, choices they make, etc.
Hmm.
So that's important.
Yeah.
I think I think women should have the right to make choices, and I think the federal safeguard um,
Hmm.
that has now been minimized
Hmm.
is important. I think, I want to support somebody who's not telling my daughters or wife what to do with their own body. So
Hmm.
those type of things are important. Uh,
Hmm.
just making sure that, you got fair wages and communities that are safe. And
Yeah.
so ultimately, I want somebody that seems like they have a heart
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
making me feel bad because of who I am
Hmm.
as a human being.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about how much money is put at the national level, but can you share your thoughts on the importance of this a voter turnout on the
Mhm.
coming election and how it might affect our region? Because I know people do get caught up in the
Mhm.
national election
Mhm.
and seemingly forget about the local election and how important that is as well, because all politics is local. We know that, the importance of it. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of voter turnout?
Virginia is a, election every year community. I'm not as concerned about voter turnout during presidential years because folks
Okay,
really vote.
come out.
Um, I honestly believe this year's voter turnout is going to be crazy because
Really?
there's a certain level of excitement.
Hmm.
I was speaking to a group of, we had a faith leaders meeting today talking about the elections and, changing who was at the top of the ticket for the Democratic
Hmm.
Party
Hmm.
has invigorated, women in particular, young people, um,
Hmm.
and people are excited. So I do think people are going to vote. Um, you know, we have other races on the ballot. One of our U.S. Senator races are on the ballot.
Hmm.
So Tim
Hmm.
Kaine is on the ballot.
Hmm. Right.
Here locally, Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan is on the ballot.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
you got Leslie Meta, a
Hmm.
new um, African American woman. This is her first foray into politics. She's running in the first congressional district. If
Okay.
if you live in the city of Richmond, you vote this year. So,
Hmm.
the mayor candidates, city council candidates, school board
Yeah.
candidates, honestly, they don't really have to focus on raising a lot of money, even though it is a focus of
Hmm.
theirs, because the turnout's going to be there.
Yeah.
So they raise the money to get their name recognition out, but the turnout's there.
Hmm.
My hope is after we get through this election, that next year, when we are looking at the General Assembly again, next year,
Yeah.
the governor's races up, the LG, lieutenant governor, attorney general, those races are as important as these federal races.
Right.
I personally don't feel like Virginia is Donald Trump and his team are saying that, Virginia is a swing state. It's up, it's not. If folk get out to vote, Virginia is blue. And, people in central Virginia get out to vote, Tidewater get out to vote, Northern Virginia get out to vote, rural communities. In presidential election years, Virginia is not a swing state, but it does become a swing state next year.
Right.
There's a reason Glenn Youngkin won 4 years ago because some of us fell asleep at the wheel. So, we got to take this enthusiasm from this year and keep people invigorated, excited, motivated, and know that elections have consequences. And
Right.
so, I hear the negativity from one side. It's pretty funny to me to hear our former president talk about our Democratic nominee. She's not smart. She failed a bar. Stuff like that from this person of all.
I know.
To
Yeah.
have a right to be talking about somebody. So,
Yeah.
But guess what? Almost half of the country has voted this man into president before. So we can't sleep on.
That's right.
There's still a lot of people out there who, unfortunately, still will not vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman.
Right.
Still, vote don't want people of color to be in certain positions. So, we gotta, we gotta work hard. Your vote should equal another 50. So that's my message. You go vote, and you need to be on the phone making sure that 25 to 50 other people that go to vote.
Well, certainly great information and great advice. Thank you so much for joining us. Those are all of the questions that we have. Do you have any parting words for our audience here at Earrings Off?
Again, thank you for having me on. My challenge is pay attention, over these next couple of months, what's happening, nationally, yes, but also what's happening in your state. So, we're in Virginia, I'm in Central Virginia, but you might be listening to this from somewhere else. So pay attention to what's happening in your area and make sure that you get on top of stuff.
Okay.
If you need to reach out to me, you can shoot me an email at Varina, VARINA at Henrico, HENRICO.gov. Or you can reach me at the church, pastor at smzbc.org. I'm on social media, so I don't know all my tags, but you can look me up on Facebook, Tyrone Nelson. I think I'm Rev Tyrone Nelson on Instagram. And I'm on Twitter. I think I'm TyNail12 or something on Twitter.
And you are quite active on social media.
I'm active on social media, so hit me up. And
thank you so much again for being here on Earrings Off. We wish you all the best, and I don't say this lightly. I pay attention to what's happening in Henrico. I'm a Henrico resident, and thank you for the great job that you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you. Take good care.